Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for part 2 of the Q&A, so let's go ahead and get this party started. Alright, first question. Would wearing weightlifting gloves impede your grip strength in the long run? I am an auto body tech and my hands are trash, calloused, dried, and cracked from all the bondo and dirt and probably the soap I have to use to get them clean. Doing big barbell exercises and chin-ups takes a toll on my hands, and I've been thinking about getting some gloves. Any thoughts? All right, brother, I have some experience with this because obviously I did mess with cars quite a bit when I was younger, and then I have worked before as a hydrogen compressor mechanic. And yeah, I can tell you right now, yeah, even that soap takes its toll because a lot of that ends up causing extra cracking and everything else over all the calluses and, you know, the occasional burns and cuts and everything that you get doing mechanic work. But yeah, all of that soap, all that pumice-based soap really kind of can cause problems there. What I'm going to say to you is that no, this is not a good idea. It's not just about grip strength, it's about injuring your hands. Gloves, when you start lifting really heavy, will get you hurt. They'll hurt you in the gym with lifting heavy weights. Furthermore, when you start actually getting strong, you're going to need a new pair of gloves every workout. In other words, if you start deadlifting and doing heavy barbell rows with gloves, you're going to need a new pair of gloves every workout. So, you know, you're like, oh man, I'm only buying $15 gloves. Well, if you're training 4 days a week, that's $60 a week worth of gloves you're going to go through. They're not going to survive. It's not like your mechanic work where a good set of gloves lasts a while. You know, you're going to do 5 heavy sets of deadlifts, and that's going to be the end of your gloves. They won't last gripping all the knurling on the bars. The gloves get shredded when you get strong. They're not going to last. So no, this is not a good idea. It's not going to work for you. What you need to focus on is care for your hands. Learning how to treat your calluses. Learning how to take care of your hands, take care of the calluses, clean all this stuff up. And it'll balance out. It's fine. You can still be a mechanic and be a 500-600 pound raw deadlifter who doesn't need gloves or straps. You've got to learn to take care of your hands and your skin. That includes, you know, watching for cuts, watching for infections. Learning to bandage stuff when you're at work that's got a cut on it so that you don't get cuts through the calluses, sanding the calluses smooth, things like that. You got to learn to pay attention to these things. It's just part of the lifting game. But you'll learn it over time. All right, next question. First off, strong AF lifts. Secondly, if the strict standing press carries over to the bench and bench strength carries over to the dip strength, is there ever any need for a minimalist to do any other presses in the strict standing press? Just curious. Yeah, it's a good question. And by the way, thank you for acknowledging my lifts. I figure another few months, and I think I'll have my strength base kind of where I want it to be, to where I can say I'm respectably strong again, and then build up from there. I'm not far away. I'd say the strict press can be your baseline, meaning I wouldn't recommend you completely avoid all chest pressing, but could you build a very solid pressing base off of just a strict standing press? Absolutely. I wouldn't recommend that be the only press you do, depending upon how far you want to take things. Meaning, if you want to get totally brutally strong, you could use a couple different sets of presses. It wouldn't be a bad idea, but there's no reason you couldn't focus on the strict press for long periods of time. But I would say if you're going to do that, and let's say you don't want to bench press, that's fine. You do need to probably incorporate some weighted dips from time to time. They will carry over to your strict press, and they'll put more overall size on you. Maybe some push presses from time to time, and you'll be fine. Yeah, I mean, it'll be perfectly fine. You can build your base that way too. You can make the primary focus a strict standing press. I think it's a great exercise, and it can build a solid pressing base for you on its own. So yeah, you could do that. But I wouldn't necessarily do it exclusively even as an exercise minimalist. But again, you could do 80 to 90% of your pressing with it and be just fine. All right, next question. Hi Jason, I have been training with the Bulgarian method for quite some time now. I will be on vacation for 2 weeks and will only be able to do my lifts max 3 times a week. How would you train leading up to the vacation, and how should I train during, especially on the off days? I was thinking about training twice a day leading up to it so that my 2 weeks off are treated almost like a deload. Be very careful with that. You don't want to go from training once a day to straight into training twice a day on Bulgarian, not all of your days. What I would say, if you're going to start doing 2 a days, you need to work them in 1 day at a time. Don't just do it all at once because you're anticipating a deload. It's not going to work out as well as you think it is. What I would say for 2 a days, if you're training, say 7 days a week on Bulgarian, pick 1 day to add a second workout. And maybe 3 weeks later, add a second day. 3 weeks later, add a third day. Don't just do it all at once like that. You'll be fine. You're going to come in and hit your maxes 3 days a week. You might regress. You might maintain. You might make progress. It's really going to vary. There's too many variables to say. I would say enjoy your vacation. Train 3 days a week on your vacation. Hit your maxes. Hit your daily minimums. And get out. You won't lose any appreciable amount of strength doing that. And even if you do, you'll regain it within 1 week. You'll be right back where you were. And Bulgarian, if you've been doing it a long time, is a slow program at a certain point. You're just going to spend long times maintaining. It is what it is. I really wouldn't sweat it. You'll be fine on 3 times a week. Enjoy your vacation. I think you'll maintain your strength and size just fine. All right, next question. Jason, when deadlifting, there are 2 types of back rounding, the upper back and lower. Lower, which is a no-no, is upper slight rounding bad if it is how you feel comfortable and are experiencing no back pain. I'm 6'4" and like a slight curve at the top. I feel stronger like that when getting 455 and above. Being at a deadlift max now is 550 conventional. All right, you're talking about lumbar rounding versus thoracic rounding. Yeah, lumbar rounding for most people is a no-no, not exclusive. There's some people who can lift ultra heavy that way without getting hurt, but I wouldn't recommend it. You're talking about lumbar rounding. Lumbar rounding is considered to be a perfectly acceptable way to deadlift. Some people are slightly stronger with lumbar rounding. That's why it's an advanced powerlifting technique. But I want to point out, not everyone is stronger with lumbar rounding. Some people are actually stronger while maintaining a flat upper back, a flat lumbar. So it's something you can experiment with as an advanced lifter. Since you're deadlifting over 500, yeah, I think it's perfectly acceptable to start experimenting with it. If you're pain-free and you feel tighter and more explosive out of the bottom using that method, I would say continue to do so. It's fine. It's safe if done correctly. There are pretty large numbers of 800 and 900 plus pound raw deadlifters who use this protocol who are injury free. Go look up Big KK from Latvia. He deadlifts over 900 pounds raw using this method himself. So again, it's pretty well proven in elite lifting circles. There's nothing wrong with it. If you feel stronger that way, you're not getting any pain, you're not getting injured from doing it, yeah, it's perfectly acceptable. Carry on. All right, next question and last question of the week. What are some strategies for breaking through plateaus on Bulgarian light? Exercise variation, back offset, something different? Good question, because you know what? You will plateau on this system. You will sometimes plateau for many months, and some cases, some people plateau for a year or longer on some of their lifts on this system. It's normal. It happens. That's why people need to remember sometimes this system will carry you to very, very high levels of strength, but you may sit there for a while. So what do you do when you plateau on a lift? I would say your options at that point when you plateau are more adaptative stress. In other words, if you're plateaued on a lift, you may need to increase the frequency of that lift. That's one option. So in other words, let's say you're already at maximum frequency. You're squatting 7 days a week. You could work in a second squat session sometimes. Therefore, you're now getting more total weekly work with your maxes, training maxes or daily minimums. That can help push you through a plateau. Your other option, as far as even more squatting, is back offsets. So let's say you're stuck at a 500 squat. You could do, after some of your 500 squats, you could start working in every other session, if you, depending on how you're recovering, particular days where you're stronger. Back off triple. You could back off and do 450 for 3 reps. Afterwards, you could do back off work. Again, you're getting more total volume that can cause additional hypertrophy, which will push those lifts up. Another option is exercise variation, which means, let's say you're stalled there and you can identify your weak link. Maybe it's your quads, maybe it's something else. You could rotate in front squats for 3 of your squat sessions every week and spend 3 weeks progressing on that, because it's going to be a detrained lift. So you could probably hammer it for progression hard for 3 weeks, meaning since you're doing it 3 days a week, you could probably add a little weight for every session for 9 total sessions, and then go back to your normal and see if you're stronger. So you could do a front squat, you could do a paused beltless squat, you could do a pin squat, you could do a safety bar squat. That can help push you through plateaus. Your other option is more volume on accessory works to again add hypertrophy. That's what I've started doing again recently, by the way, because I'm recovering fine. I can treat this as a full-time endeavor. So in my case, I can come in and add volume with alternative exercises. I can come in and do multiple sets of triples on rows, or weighted dips, or my trap bar pulls, right? That's an option also. You could come in and pick some other accessory movements and do volume with those several days a week to address some of your possible weak points, to add some more muscle, which will make you stronger and it will carry over to those maxes. So there's your different options for breaking through plateaus. But you need to understand the plateaus are going to happen, but in some cases they may not happen for a while. So it's going to vary, and address them with whatever strategy you feel is going to work best for you. I personally really like the exercise variation volume approach mixed together. I think that seems to give really good results for me personally. But you know, people are can try different things. You can try different things with it, but that's what I like to do personally with it. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.